Imagine waking up one morning, the sun is streaming through your window, and for the first time in a long while, you feel a sense of excitement. You're 65, and while many people might consider this a time to slow down, you've decided to do the opposite. You've just made a decision that will change your life, a decision to reconnect with the vibrant energy of your youth. The idea might seem unusual to some, especially when society often tells us that age brings with it a natural decline. But what if I told you that at 65, you have the power to reconnect with the very things that made you feel alive in your youth? What if I told you that by simply embracing new habits, making small changes, and rethinking what aging means, you could rediscover a part of yourself that you thought was long gone? You see, this isn't just a story about me, it's a story that could be yours too. At 65, I found myself at a crossroads. I had spent decades raising a family, building a career, and keeping busy with the day-to-day responsibilities of life. But somewhere along the way, I lost touch with the things that brought me joy, energy, and vitality. My life had become a series of routines necessary, but not always fulfilling. I started to notice that I wasn't moving through life with the same excitement that I once had. Instead of feeling inspired and motivated, I felt tired, detached, and somewhat disconnected from the life I had dreamed of living. It wasn't until I realized that I had the power to change that I began to take small steps toward reconnecting with the youth I once felt. At first, I wasn't sure where to start, but like many of you, I had a lifetime of experiences, memories, and skills to draw from. The key to making a change was not about reinventing myself or chasing perfection. It was about rediscovering the energy and curiosity I had when I was younger. And trust me, it wasn't about turning back the clock or trying to relive my past. It was about bringing that same spark of excitement and vitality into my current life. In the next few parts of this video, I'll share the journey of how I reconnected with my youth at 65. It wasn't about drastic changes or some magical secret. It was about making conscious decisions every day to embrace life with the same joy, passion, and curiosity I had when I was younger. It was about recognizing that no matter how old we are, we always have the ability to evolve, grow, and rediscover ourselves. This video isn't just for those who are 65 or older. It's for anyone who feels that spark of longing inside, the desire to bring back the vitality and enthusiasm that life sometimes takes away. When I first began this journey, it wasn't easy. The idea of starting something new, especially at an age when most people are winding down, felt intimidating. But as I slowly stepped into the process, I realized something incredible. Life, no matter your age, can still be filled with adventure, growth, and new beginnings. I was not defined by my age, nor was I restricted by the idea that my best years were behind me. In fact, I started to believe that my best years were just beginning, and I was ready to embrace the energy and excitement of my youth once more. So how did I do it? How did I reconnect with my youth, and how can you do the same? The first step was accepting that the power to change was always within me. It wasn't about waiting for some external circumstance to change. It wasn't about relying on others to make me feel young again. It was about taking control of my life and deciding that I had the power to live fully no matter my age. I began by looking back at the things that once brought me joy, activities that made me feel alive, things that fueled my passion. I wasn't trying to recreate my past, but instead I was seeking ways to reawaken those experiences and bring them into the present. It wasn't just about exercise, nutrition, or even social connections. It was about rediscovering the energy within me that had been dormant for so long. But the journey to reconnecting with my youth was not an overnight transformation. It was a process, one that took time, patience, and a willingness to let go of old beliefs about aging. At first, the changes were small. I started moving my body more gentle exercises, stretching, walking. These were not high-intensity workouts, but simple actions that reminded my body of what it felt like to be active, vibrant, and strong. The more I moved, the more I realized that age wasn't a limitation, it was just a number. My body, while older, was still capable of so much. The next step was embracing the mental shift that I needed. Reconnecting with my youth wasn't just about the physical changes, it was about adopting a mindset of growth, curiosity, and openness to new experiences. I wasn't trying to become the person I was decades ago, but rather, I was embracing the mindset of someone who was still capable of learning, adapting, and evolving. It meant shedding the belief that certain activities, hobbies, or experiences were reserved for younger people. I began challenging the idea that aging meant slowing down or stepping away from things that brought me joy. Instead, I decided to make the conscious choice to keep growing, to keep learning, and to keep experiencing life with enthusiasm. In the next sections of this video, I'll share how these small daily decisions added up to a profound shift in my life. The secret to reconnecting with your youth isn't about looking back, but about looking forward with the same curiosity and excitement that you had when you were younger. By embracing small changes, adopting a growth mindset, and reconnecting with activities that bring joy and fulfillment, you can unlock a new chapter of life that is just as vibrant, meaningful, and purposeful as the one you lived before. In the next part of the video, we'll dive into the specific habits and practices that can help you reconnect with your youth regardless of your age. I'll share some of the exact actions I took to get back on track and how you can start implementing them into your life today. It's time to rewrite the narrative of aging. The best part of your life is still ahead of you, and with just a few small changes, you can start living that life right now. In the previous part of this video, I shared with you the journey of how I, at 65, decided to reconnect with my youth and rediscover a life full of vitality and joy. It wasn't about turning back the clock or pretending that I could relive my younger years. Instead, it was about embracing small, everyday habits that would allow me to feel the energy, curiosity, and excitement of youth once again. Now, in this second part of the video, I'm going to dive deeper into the specific habits I adopted, which helped me make this transformation, and how you can begin implementing these habits in your own life right away. The first step to creating lasting change in any area of our lives is understanding that small habits are not just insignificant actions. They are the foundation upon which we build our future. These habits don't have to be overwhelming or complicated. In fact, the more simple and manageable they are, the more likely they are to become a lasting part of your daily routine. So let's explore 5 key habits that, when practiced daily, can reconnect you with your youth and make the second half of your life more vibrant, joyful, and fulfilling than ever before. 1. Mindful movement. Start with small, intentional steps. When I began this journey of reconnecting with my youth, I realized that movement was essential. As we get older, our bodies change, and we may not feel as strong or as flexible as we once did. But the good news is, movement doesn't have to be intense to be effective. In fact, the more gentle and mindful the movement, the better it is for our bodies and minds. The first habit I embraced was mindful movement. At first, this didn't mean hitting the gym or doing high-impact workouts. It meant taking intentional, mindful steps toward incorporating movement into my daily life. I started by going for short walks each morning. At first, it was just around the block, nothing too intense, but enough to get my body moving and my blood flowing. I focused on being present during the walk, feeling the sensation of my feet on the ground, listening to the birds, and noticing the world around me. This practice didn't just help with my physical health, it also brought a sense of peace and mindfulness into my daily routine. As I began to feel the benefits of these short walks, I gradually expanded my movement practice. I started doing simple stretching exercises in the morning, focusing on areas that tend to get tight as we age, such as the hips, lower back, and shoulders. Yoga was another wonderful addition. A gentle flow of yoga stretches allowed me to increase my flexibility, reduce stiffness, and calm my mind. The key was to listen to my body and move in a way that felt comfortable, not pushing myself too hard, but instead honoring my body's current needs. This mindful movement practice helped me reconnect with the joy of being active, something I hadn't realized I had been missing. It reminded me of my younger days when I loved to move my body just for the pure enjoyment of it. It wasn't about achieving a specific fitness goal. It was about feeling good in my body and embracing the movement as part of my daily routine. 2. Nutrition. Fuel your body. Fuel your life. The second habit I adopted was nutrition, and let me be clear, nutrition doesn't mean strict diets or deprivation. It's about nourishing your body with the right foods that fuel your energy, support your strength, and promote overall health. Over the years, I had gotten into the habit of eating whatever was convenient, sometimes skipping meals and occasionally indulging in unhealthy snacks. But once I realized how much what I put into my body affects how I feel and function, I decided to make some changes. The first step was cutting back on processed foods and focusing on eating whole, nutrient-dense meals. I started incorporating more fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats into my diet. Instead of depriving myself, I focused on adding more of the foods that would nourish my body. I also made a point to drink more water throughout the day. I realized how much hydration played a role in my energy levels, my skin's appearance, and my overall sense of well-being. The key was to make small, sustainable changes rather than making radical dietary overhauls. I didn't try to go on a restrictive diet, but instead, I aimed to eat in a way that would leave me feeling energized and satisfied. I began cooking at home, more experimenting with new recipes, and enjoying meals that were not only good for me, but also delicious. It wasn't about perfection, it was about making better choices for my health, one meal at a time. By nourishing my body with whole foods and drinking more water, I began to notice significant changes in my energy levels. I felt less sluggish, my mood improved, and I started to look forward to meals again. This simple habit has had a profound effect on my overall well-being, and it's something I continue to prioritize every day. Chapter 3. Mental stimulation. Keep your mind active and engaged. The third habit that helped me reconnect with my youth was mental stimulation. It's easy to think that as we age, our mental capacities naturally decline, but that's not true. Our brains are capable of growing and adapting throughout our lives. In fact, keeping our minds active is one of the best ways to protect against cognitive decline and keep our minds sharp. I began to challenge myself intellectually by reading more. I had always loved reading, but had let it slip in recent years due to the busyness of life. I started dedicating time every day to read books that interested me, whether they were fiction history or self-improvement. Reading not only kept my mind engaged, but also provided a sense of fulfillment and enjoyment that I had missed. Another way I stimulated my mind was by solving puzzles. Word puzzles, Sudoku, and brain games became part of my daily routine. These activities are fantastic for improving memory, concentration, and problem-solving skills. I also started learning new things online. I took courses on topics I had always been curious about, from photography to philosophy. These small mental challenges helped me feel more engaged and motivated. The key to mental stimulation is to keep things interesting and fun. Don't feel like you need to tackle complex subjects or spend hours on activities. The goal is to keep your brain active and engaged in a way that feels enjoyable and fulfilling. Whether it's reading, solving puzzles, or learning something new, the important thing is to make mental stimulation a regular part of your life. 4. Gratitude. Changing your perspective on life. The fourth habit I embraced was gratitude. I had always heard about the power of gratitude, but I never truly understood how transformative it could be until I started practicing it myself. Every morning, I began taking a few moments to reflect on the things I was grateful for. This practice didn't have to be long or complicated. It could be as simple as appreciating the warmth of my coffee in the morning, the sunshine outside, or the people in my life who cared about me. As I focused on gratitude, I realized how much it shifted my perspective. Instead of focusing on what I didn't have or what was going wrong, I began to appreciate the abundance in my life. I realized that gratitude didn't just make me feel better, it also had physical effects. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude can reduce stress, improve sleep, and even boost immune function. By taking time each day to acknowledge the positive aspects of my life, I felt happier, more content, and more connected to the world around me. Over time, this practice of gratitude became something I look forward to every day. It was a simple yet profound way to start my day with a positive mindset and a sense of appreciation for the present moment. 5. Social connections, the power of staying connected. Finally, the fifth habit that helped me reconnect with my youth was maintaining strong social connections. It's easy to become isolated as we age, especially after retirement, but staying connected with others is one of the most important aspects of a fulfilling life. As we age, our social circles can shrink, and we may find ourselves spending more time alone. But loneliness can have serious effects on both mental and physical health. I made a conscious effort to reconnect with friends and family. I scheduled regular phone calls with old friends, and I made sure to visit my children and grandchildren more often. I also joined a local community group where I met people with similar interests. Socializing with others not only brought joy and laughter into my life, but also kept me feeling engaged and connected. Another important social connection I fostered was within my local church community. Being part of a group with shared values and a sense of purpose gave me a deeper sense of belonging. Whether it was attending weekly services, volunteering, or simply chatting with fellow members, these social interactions enriched my life in ways I hadn't anticipated. When we've explored the tremendous power of 5 small habits, mindful movement, proper nutrition, mental stimulation, gratitude, and social connections, the next step is how to sustain them long-term and make them a natural part of your daily routine. This is a journey that doesn't just stop at the beginning. It's a process of turning these habits into an integral part of your life, helping to create a rich, healthy, and fulfilling existence. Right from the start of adopting these habits, you will notice distinct changes. Your body will feel more flexible, your mind sharper, and your spirit lighter. But like any change in life, the real challenge lies in maintaining them long-term and making these habits a part of your daily rhythm. Without the external pressure of work or family responsibilities, it's easy to fall into laziness or distraction. So how do we maintain motivation? How do we make these habits a long-lasting part of our lifestyle rather than something we struggle to uphold every day? Start with small, achievable goals. One of the most important elements in maintaining long-term habits is setting clear, achievable goals. Start with small, attainable goals that you can complete in a short time. These goals will help you stay motivated and build confidence as you accomplish them. Don't try to do everything at once. Start with small changes and gradually build up. The key is to keep your goals realistic and to avoid feeling overwhelmed when you're unable to achieve them immediately. For example, instead of committing to a 10,000 step walk every day right away, start with 10-minute walks each morning or walk 3 times a week. Once you've succeeded in this smaller goal, you can gradually increase the time or frequency and experience the progress. The important thing is to keep your goals achievable and not to pressure yourself to do too much at once. Build habits through small, consistent actions. Maintaining these habits long-term requires consistency and persistence. The changes don't need to be dramatic, but it's the repetition every day that makes the difference. We don't need to do everything perfectly right away. We only need to keep practicing small, intentional actions one step at a time. This will help us continue with our habits without feeling burdened or overwhelmed. An effective strategy for maintaining habits is to create a system that makes it easier to follow through. For instance, if you want to drink more water, always carry a water bottle with you and place it where it's easy to see, such as on your desk or in your living room. This will remind you to drink water and make it a natural habit to incorporate into your day. For physical exercise habits, you can put your walking shoes by the door so that every morning when you wake up, you'll see them and start walking without much thought. Preparing ahead for activities will make it easier to maintain habits naturally without thinking too much about it. Create a routine that works for you. An important part of maintaining these habits long-term is creating a fixed routine. When you're working, your days are structured for you. You have a set schedule, and your time is divided between work, family, and personal activities. But after retirement, that structure disappears, leaving a lot of free time. At first, this freedom might feel exhilarating. However, over time, the lack of structure can lead to feelings of aimlessness or even boredom. To combat this, it's crucial to create a new daily routine that works for you. Start by setting a few non-negotiable habits that you will commit to each day, just like you would have with a work schedule. For example, decide that you will always take a walk first thing in the morning, spend a few minutes writing in a gratitude journal, or call a friend or family member every afternoon. These small actions can give your day a sense of purpose and direction. As you build your routine, don't try to do everything at once. Instead, focus on one habit at a time. Start with the most important or most motivating habit, and once it becomes a part of your daily life, gradually add others. This gradual approach allows you to build momentum without feeling overwhelmed. For example, if you choose to start your day with a walk, make that your first priority each morning. Once this becomes ingrained in your routine, you can then add another small habit like stretching, reading, or practicing mindfulness. The goal is to create a flow in your day that feels natural and rewarding. Each time you complete a habit, no matter how small, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment, which will keep you motivated to maintain the next habit. Be patient with yourself. Sometimes, to maintain motivation, you need to refresh yourself every day. Take time to remind yourself of why you started this journey in the first place. It's not just about improving your health. It's about feeling happy, connected with yourself, and connected with those around you. These habits aren't a burden. They're an opportunity to live a more complete and meaningful life. A simple way to refresh yourself every day is to write in a journal or list the things you're grateful for every morning. This will help you stay positive and more aware of the positive changes you're making. When you feel tired or demotivated, look back at your small achievements and remind yourself of why you started. Accept challenges and failures. In the journey of maintaining these habits, there will be days when you feel less motivated or unable to do what you set out to do. This is a natural part of the change process. The important thing is not to let these small failures stop you. Instead of feeling disappointed, look at it as an opportunity to learn and improve. If you miss a day or two, don't be too hard on yourself. Just reflect on what went wrong, make adjustments, and get back on track. Perhaps your morning walk gets interrupted by a family visit or a doctor's appointment. Rather than abandoning the habit entirely, find a new time during the day to fit it in. Flexibility is key. Life after retirement gives you the freedom to structure your days as you see fit, but this also means you must remain adaptable. You can always find a way to make your habits fit into your new lifestyle. For example, if you started walking every morning but one day you wake up feeling tired or unwell, it's okay to rest. If you can't walk in the morning, try doing it later in the day. If you forget to write in your gratitude journal, do it the next day. Adaptation helps maintain consistency, and flexibility is essential for sticking to your habits. Create an environment that supports your habits. Another important factor in maintaining habits long-term is creating an environment that supports your new lifestyle. Your environment can have a significant impact on your ability to maintain your habits. Ensure that you have the tools and preparations needed to follow through with your habits more easily. If your goal is to stay active, make sure you have exercise equipment ready and a comfortable space to move. If you want to maintain healthy eating habits, ensure that your kitchen is stocked with fresh, healthy foods and easy-to-make meals. By building an environment that supports your habits, you won't have to waste time searching for tools or worrying about lack of preparation. This will make it easier for you to incorporate the habits into your daily life without facing obstacles. Find a buddy or accountability partner. Finally, one of the most effective ways to maintain your habits long-term is to find a buddy or an accountability partner. When you have someone to share your goals with, you're more likely to stick with them. Social support provides encouragement, motivation, and accountability. Consider finding a walking buddy, joining a local fitness group, or participating in a book club. If you prefer solo activities, schedule regular check-ins with a family member or friend to share your progress. For example, you can make a pact with a friend to walk together once a week or set a time to check in about the books you're reading. Social connections create a positive reinforcement loop, and the act of sharing your progress with others makes your habits feel more meaningful and rewarding. Whether through group activities or one-on-one conversations, having an accountability partner can give you the extra push you need to keep going. Track your progress. Tracking your progress is essential for staying motivated and maintaining your habits over time. It's easy to forget how far you've come if you don't take the time to track your successes. Whether it's keeping a journal using a habit tracking app or simply jotting down notes, tracking your progress can provide tangible proof of your growth. When you track your habits, you'll also have a better understanding of what's working and what needs adjusting. Celebrate your small wins, whether it's a week of consistent walking or successfully making time for a new hobby. Reward yourself for the effort, even if the reward is just recognizing your commitment and feeling proud of your progress. In the final section of this video, let's reflect on everything we've discussed. We've explored how small, consistent habits can drastically improve your health, happiness, and overall well-being, especially as we enter our later years. The key to maintaining these habits long-term is to make them so ingrained in your routine that they become automatic. Through persistence, consistency, and a little flexibility, you can build a lifestyle that supports your physical, mental, and emotional health. Keep moving forward, and remember, every small step is progress toward a fulfilling retirement. As we look back on the journey we've gone through, from the small habits that have helped me and many others reconnect with youth and refresh our lives, we realize that change doesn't come from huge, dramatic gestures, but from small, consistent actions every day. These habits don't just improve our physical health, but also bring mental fulfillment, keep our minds sharp, and connect us with our community and ourselves. And as we incorporate them into our daily lives, they become an essential part of our lifestyle, bringing abundance, joy, and meaning to every stage of life. As I shared earlier, the changes I experienced weren't something far-fetched or requiring external intervention. They were habits that anyone could start practicing today. And the important thing is, these habits aren't just actions we perform, they are a way of living. And so, when we start making small changes in our daily routines, we don't just change our lives, we change how we feel, experience, and perceive life. When I began with the first habit, mindful movement, I didn't expect a simple act like walking each morning would have such a profound effect on my health, but it did. The change didn't happen instantly, but gradually over time, I noticed that my body wasn't as stiff and tired as before. Instead, it became more flexible and my energy levels increased, making me feel rejuvenated every morning. Next, I changed my diet. I didn't make radical changes, but I adjusted a few habits in my daily eating. Instead of skipping meals or eating junk food, I began to prioritize nutritious meals, incorporating more fruits, vegetables, and whole foods into my diet. Proper nutrition didn't just help me feel healthier, but it also boosted my body's immune system, helping me fight off illnesses and maintain youthful vitality. When I saw the physical and health changes, I realized that improving the body could only happen when I also took care of my mind and intellect. So I started maintaining a daily reading habit, engaging in activities to stimulate my intellect, like solving puzzles or learning a new language. Continuously learning and keeping my brain sharp not only helped me maintain my memory and mental focus, but it also brought me joy from the small achievements of learning something new. The habit of gratitude is something I learned throughout this process. I always heard about the power of gratitude, but it wasn't until I began practicing it that I realized its profound effect. Every morning, I started taking a few minutes to reflect on the things I'm grateful for. This habit didn't have to be long or complicated. Just feeling grateful for a warm cup of coffee, a beautiful day, or the love of family became a simple way to shift my mindset. Along with the changes in movement, nutrition, intellect, gratitude, and social connections, I realized that maintaining these habits was a long-term process. They needed to be practiced consistently each day. Every small habit brought a noticeable benefit, and as we continue to practice them regularly, they naturally become an inseparable part of our daily lives. But I know that sometimes maintaining these habits isn't easy. There will be days when you feel tired, demotivated, or even when you don't have time. However, it's important not to give up when faced with challenges. Remember that change doesn't happen overnight, and every small step you take will lead to long-term results. Just like any other habit, these need time to form and become a natural part of life. The key is to be patient and keep going even when faced with difficulties. One crucial piece of advice I'd like to share with you is, make these habits a natural part of your life. Don't let practicing them feel like a burden or a task you need to complete. Instead, see them as a natural part of your day, just like eating, sleeping, or working. Once these habits become an inseparable part of your life, you will no longer feel pressured or forced to practice them. Of course, there will be days when you feel like giving up, but remember that each day is a new opportunity to start over. Don't be too hard on yourself if you miss a habit one day. The important thing is that you continue practicing them the next day. Small, consistent steps will lead to a healthy, fulfilling, and joyful life. I hope that through sharing my journey, you can find habits that work for you and apply them to your own life. We may not be able to change everything overnight, but with persistence and small habits practiced every day, we will live a full and happy life. Start today and you'll realize that even the smallest changes can make a big difference in your life. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming exciting videos.